Welcome, Rana, and welcome, Princess Deena. It's a pleasure to have you with us. I know it's
Wonderful to be
early.
here.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. I know it's early in New York, and I know it's late in Dubai for you as well. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you coming. Did you come all the way from Sharjah?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I appreciate it.
It's not that far.
Oh.
I feel like people think Sharjah 35 minutes.
Okay.
Great time. Yeah.
Okay. Well, today we just wanted to take this opportunity to discuss, the importance of fashion platform and how far have they come. Any specific platform that you think have really made a mark and moved you. Speaking of making a mark and creating an incredible platform, Princess Deena, tell us more about this incredible new venture of yours.
Well, thank you very much for describing it as incredible. It's deeply personal. So it's basically just a cultivation of my sartorial thoughts and observations. It may not be the platform you'd go to that would be the definitive word on what's happening in fashion news. And I'll tell you what platforms are and what are moving me right now. But it's really almost like going back to the idea of looking at wonderful things creatively and speaking about the history of it. As you may know, I love the history of fashion, always have. So sometimes we go into that. We also go into things like conversations, hence the podcast element of the website, with people in the region, especially because I speak, not that I think of it as a a global platform, but with a Middle Eastern edge. So that's really what we're trying to do with Dina the First.
Fantastic. Rima, tell us a bit more about your Remami. And you use a lot of references from your previous experience in graphics, and you've taken that to a whole new kind of level of appreciating art and appreciating also your Palestinian heritage. And Dina, I know we'll get back to the importance of heritage and also getting to that point. How important is your heritage to you when you are designing?
Well, I started off as a graphic designer, and I wanted to find a way to merge both fashion and graphics. And after I was in an advertising agency, and the way they think is like thinking out of the box, bringing out like things that are new and never been out there before, and that's the basis of what Reemami is all about. Going back to your question, I feel like I stayed away from my heritage for like 10 years during Reemami. I looked into culture, I looked into motivational things like sports, different forms, art, texture, all of that, until I found myself ready to actually tap into my culture and my heritage, my Palestinian heritage. I didn't want it to come off as something you'll see in a market. Like it's a one-off thing that I can only create. No one else can do my graphics or my prints, and that's something I find very liberating, and express myself in a way that I've been longing to way before I started my brand.
Do you feel like media is as inclusive as they should be, or we still have a long way to go when it comes to promoting local heritage, in particular Palestinian heritage?
Well, I haven't seen any bias on media in the Middle East. They've been very supportive of someone talking about their culture and their heritage in the way I have been. And I don't know, maybe internationally they're picking and choosing different identities for and saying different names separately. You know the situation. But personally, I haven't faced any bias like that I know directly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of elements do you use in your work to celebrate it?
I played a lot with taking the traditional cross stitching and making it my own, and taking traditional prints like zebra prints, like stripes, like checkers and tartan, and then taking fun elements that really define the brand Reemami, which is like horses or different things, creating it all in the form of the cross stitching art, but painted. and making it my own. So, there's so many symbolism in the Palestinian embroidery. There's a lot of meaning, and it makes you think that when back in the days, all those beautiful Palestinian women who created the symbolism behind every little stitch, they were super creative. They were having fun, naming them really funny names. It was just really a beautiful insight to look into it and study it really deep. It just really made me feel like I'm back home, like talking to my moms or my aunts, and just celebrating the identity of being a Palestinian.
Fantastic. And nostalgia and culture and heritage.
Exactly.
Dina, I couldn't help
Yes.
but notice your last post. You're talking about the importance of not just heritage, but also collaboration. So it's not just competing, but actually collaborating. Would you care to elaborate on that a little bit more? What you meant by that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but before I do that, I'd like to mention a particular jacket that I graciously was gifted by Rami, and it's one of my favorite jackets of all time. And although it doesn't reflect necessarily the heritage of the creator, it's nonetheless, and I'll remind you what it is. It's a black jacket with wonderful, the fabric that's used for shoelaces.
Oh, yes.
It's unbelievable. It's multicolored, and I've used it several times, and it's one of my favorite pieces. And it could have been created by anyone. So, meaning what I say by that is meaning, I think sometimes there's an unfair pressure into speaking to your heritage in your work. I think it's important to have your heritage within your work, but I think it will show itself naturally. I don't think it's something you have to press on a little too much with, because when you do, then it seems folkloric and it seems costumey. So I just wanted to point that out. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but that's the way I feel about it.
That's exactly why I never tapped into it until really finding my signature, which was a lot of fun prints and things that really reflect my personality and my identity as a designer.
Yes.
I couldn't tap into it for so long, and then the way I did it was the way I would do any other collection, like the boxing collection. I think the collection I have the jacket from was the climbing collection, and that's the one.
And I love that. It's such a great collection.
And I'll never forget, because I remember winning the Vogue Fashion Prize with that collection, and I remember you being there while I saw you the day before and the day after, and I remember your really calm face. And I was so nervous presenting it to the jury, but it was so beautiful to have you there. And I was looking at photos and just the way you were encouraging me and my colleagues, my fashion designer colleagues, that meant everything.
Oh, that's very kind, but it's important, because if we don't support you, who will? I think that's also a very important element. And that's what I'm loving about what you're doing, because some of the most successful designers in the world, wherever they may be from, yes, it's good to use your heritage is a part of who you are. It's not necessarily that you have to force it, because, I think sometimes people are under pressure. I think, they're like, oh, well, where does your heritage show in this piece? That's not fair, because you won't ask that question of a French designer or an American designer. I mean, well, some people will claim American designers don't have heritage. But what I mean is, what I mean. I think it's an unfair question that happens particularly with Arab designers.
I mean, I definitely think that it's been, overdone, especially the whole, kind of sadu, using the same kind of patterns and motifs that have been repeated. But at the same time,
yes,
I still think that there is room for interpretation of heritage in a much more contemporary way. And I think it'd be great for us to encourage people to think more outside of the box and come up with concepts that are not so obvious.
Yes, organically. What I think is it's nicer the way that you did with Rami, how she was able to incorporate that naturally. So I like it when it's done that way.
Absolutely.
It just shows more sincere, it's just a more sincere way of showcasing who you are and where you're from.
And less cliche, of course, yeah.
Yeah, it's a form of art that I tried to create. Like every pattern had an idea, like silhouette, silhouette expansion or silhouette playing around with that, and then tartan, making it mine. Like it takes a lot of play and error and experimentation, creating the textile art and prints that I do, and it really does take a while, and a lot of it doesn't make it through, and some of it does, and because of that, because of it being like you said, cliche or done there before. I didn't want it to be something you'll find in the market. It's obviously high-end fashion, and it's something that I connect myself to because I've done it differently. I'd like to think, yeah.
And visually, you've really been kind of instrumental, because you started off being a graphic artist. And you would go to fashion school in the evening, right?
Yeah.
Tell us a bit more about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I being a graphic designer, working in advertising agency is what really kind of gave me the foundation of how I think, thinking newness, thinking outside the box. You always wanted to find a punchline. You wanted to find stuff that are like catchy for the viewers, never been done before stuff. So studying and working as a graphic designer was studying fashion and working as a graphic designer was very pivotal for me. And there was a point where I applied for a fashion design competition, and things led to the other, and I started my own label. But I'm kind of grateful because I started off my brand doing only structural cuts and silhouettes with the fabrics and texture of the fabrics. And then I did a collaboration. You're talking about collaborations. I did a collaboration with a special needs artist school called Mawahib from Beautiful People. And they did the art of, we collaborated on the theme of Frida Kahlo, and they did the art, and I kind of took the art and I played with it and I made it mine. And that was the first time I realized I can
very
make...
symbolic, because she was also a special, need.
Yeah, exactly. And then I realized I can mix both of my passions, which is fashion and graphic design. And that was liberating, creating art form in this kind of way is just what I am, I think, like my identity.
Fantastic. Going back to collaborations, Dina, do you see any cross-cultural collaborations happening through your platform, or anything?
Well, it's something I'm aiming for. I think a part of the reason why we started this platform, in addition to the reasons I gave previously, is I also wanted to give the indication to the surrounding, the world around me, that I am here and that I am available for such things. Because yes, I've done it for friends, just as a personal favor, but that's one thing. It's another thing to say, listen, I'm here. I'm very open to the idea of collaborating, especially for the region, whether it's an international company trying to come into the market or a local brand that is trying to grow outward, because that is the area of the expertise that I've gained throughout the years. And I'm, I always joke with my friends. I say, fashion might be done with me, but I'm not done with fashion. So I'm
fashion.
Here,
Fashion
and
will never be done for you either. Never. You're synonymous.
Yeah.
Synonymous.
No, because it's a way of life. I think, it's, you either like this, or it's a part of your identity, or it isn't. And I think it always has been. I didn't go to fashion school. I didn't have the chance to go to. There were no fashion schools, at least not in Saudi Arabia at the time. And so I improvised.
They had DNA, though.
Yeah, we had DNA, but that happened after graduating. I had a degree in translation from King Saud University, because back then parents didn't allow their single daughters to go abroad on their own. It was culturally frowned upon, unless you were really liberal. And then, of course, in a few years that changed completely. But by that time, I'd already graduated and gotten married and had a family. So it's very interesting how the trajectory of things happen. and it's interesting that you said that you went to fashion school at night. It's fantastic that you had that kind of ambition, because I wish that we had that back then, where I would have had the chance to have, entered or learned more. But it's self-taught, I guess. And then, you love something, you go for it.
When I was also studying for my bachelor's, there was no fashion schools, and the same thing. My parents didn't want me to go away because culturally it was not
acceptable. It wasn't as acceptable back then. Yeah. But it changed. The good news is a lot of young women now are going everywhere, even from Saudi Arabia, which is really lovely.
Absolutely, we've come a long way, and honestly, I mean, the incredible amount of women, both in Saudi and regionally, are thriving. And this is their time. It's incredible to see also how fashion now has been proven to be so multi-dimensional, where it's fashion design, and it's also graphic art, and it's pattern making, and it's you're getting there's this amazing Saudi designer. His name is Yusuf Tamar, who actually is a pattern maker. He says, I'm not a designer, I'm a pattern maker. Like, that's amazing. Like, the importance of the craft that we don't have.
Of course.
We have people, I'd love to introduce him to you, Dina. He's
absolutely, with great pleasure.
An incredible force. We had a forum, we work with the Harrods, and we had a forum, and we brought him and he spoke. And I think that this kind of direction is also very important, where we know the importance of the craft and craft making. But what do you think about that? Princess Deena, we are starting with the Ministry of Culture. We have the lab. We have all the other kind of movements that are being created. Do you think that we are on the right path when it comes to understanding the craft?
I absolutely think that all those efforts are very helpful, and it's taking people in the right direction, and it's going to be very interesting to see in the next couple of years where this will take us. And I'm extremely proud of all these efforts, whether in Saudi with the Ministry of Culture, but also within Dubai. I don't know if you guys saw, the Business of Fashion did a whole series of articles shared with the Dubai Design District. And that was also very helpful. It may not always be reflective of what we really think, perhaps talking to individuals would be helpful. But it is a step in the right direction.
Absolutely.
It's been evolved so much. And also Sharjah Creative Quarters is happening soon, and they're opening
a
factory for designers like me. It hasn't been an easy journey for me to create, work with factories here for all the different reasons. And it's evolving in a lot of different ways, and it's going to be a hub, hopefully, for young fashion designers to excel, just like it is in New York and London and
of course. But actually, I must tell you, you being in Sharjah might be of help to you. You'd be surprised. I actually kind of like that you're not based in Dubai. No, I know it's funny sounding, but it's giving you distance. Plus, what I love about Sharjah is that it's always, in my mind, related to art. I think of, mashallah, Sheikh Hur al-Qasimi and the Sharjah Biennial. It's very avant-garde, guys. And I kind of like that you're out of it, but within it. And it gives you space.
Yeah, this gives me goosebumps because, honestly, what they've been doing with the Sharjah Biennale and all the different art galleries that they've opened, this is my first year that I actually went to all of the openings, and I was mesmerized, having it on my doorstep on the most unexpected places, a school that my friend used to go to, or the fruits and vegetables market that I used to go to as a kid, and the supermarket, but really random places that you find beautiful art and really inspires me. And I'm so happy to be from Sharjah. Yeah.
Yes, but also it removes you from a bubble, a specific bubble that can happen within Dubai. So in a way, that's actually helped your journey. That's again just my opinion. You can take it with a grain of salt, but I really like it. I like that she's out of it yet in it.
Rima has been rocking it since day one. And
Mashallah, yeah, for a while now.
Proud of
Mashallah, and I'm
you,
extremely proud of you and to see where you've come. Tara, nothing, Hatim, nothing warms the heart. It's the same with you. Nothing warms the heart than knowing you at a specific time in your life and seeing you grow and prosper. I love seeing both of you where you are. It just it warms my heart.
And honestly, like no one stood by my side like you, getting a phone call from you and then wearing my clothes to Fashion Week on a front.
Of course, I wanted to.
That was insane. And I remember like dancing up and down, like the woman of the Fashion Week, like, oh, it's incredible. It was really beautiful. We need to get you into more Reemami soon for that.
With great pleasure, with great pleasure. Lab, it's something I love to do, and I think it's important. And you know, as I told you, as we mentioned in the beginning of the episode, even if we weren't recorded, it is always nice to remember, in my case at least, the people that paved the way for me. And I think, you know, it's always that. People giving people giving people, and that's why I think my platform stands also not just for elegance but kindness. I don't know whatever happened to the idea of just being nice. Being nice is actually a good thing, not a bad thing, and it never goes out of style. So if we don't support each other, who will support us? I really believe in that.
Absolutely, it's a community that we're building, and it always kind of passes on the torch when you see people thriving and succeeding, and then you see people appreciating it and passing it on to others. And
yes, to the next generation. I want to see you guys mentoring other people because that's the way it works.
Absolutely. And speaking of your opinion of the current media landscape,
yes,
what are your thoughts? Like, do you think that
it depends on the. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm going to just give you my my two cents on this. So, in terms of fashion news, or what's happening, we are in a very different era than we were before. And the definitive newsletter that I read religiously every night is Lauren Sherman and Puck. Lauren Sherman used to work for Business of Fashion. This woman has got the goods. She tells you exactly what's happening, when it's happening, sometimes before it even happens. And I don't think I'm the only one that reads her religiously. I think a lot of people do. The other is, of course, Substack. Many people on Substack, whether it's Amy Odell, whether it's Dana Thomas, so these people are the definitive authorities, because we now, you know, unfortunately, the original media or legacy media outlets don't really give you an honest review, or, you know, people don't read reviews of shows anymore. Everything's on TikTok. Everything is on Instagram, whether it's style.com, whether it's I Deserve Couture, whether it's boring.com, this newer personality on Instagram. All of these people are giving us the fashion news. In terms of actual fashion editorial, it's a little tougher. I think it's really what will last or what will stand out are independent voices that have very beautiful publications that feel almost like books. Because the truth is, I'm not sure when is the last time I picked up a legacy media magazine. I just don't buy magazines in the way that I used to. I used to collect them at a time when they were not available in our region. I used to actually bring them back with me.
I miss that. I used to also like, you know, invest so much in these really massive catwalk books and
oh yeah,
you don't do that anymore because everything is on the finger of your on the tip of your fingers, and it's there's a sense of like something that we've lost with all of this.
Absolutely. Now people look at a cover. You know, it's funny. I don't know if you've noticed on Instagram, any publication, you look at the cover because they announced it as a cover. And so you look at it. I'm not sure you buy the magazine.
So print is slowly, you think that people still appreciate, like, you know, coffee table books type of magazines?
Yes, and magazines that are like books, you know, like, you know, the Cabanas of the world, or the Interview, or, you know, the
like
Cultured Magazine.
Sorbet, for example, you know? Yeah.
But regular legacy editorial magazines are not as moving as they used to be. I think Vogue Italia used to be that for the longest time until it wasn't.
Absolutely. It was a loss after Franca left us. Definitely.
Yes. Well, after she passed away, sadly, it wasn't the same thing. And it's funny because I couldn't read Italian. That's not why I bought it. I bought it because it was insanely good.
It was fantastic.
Insane editorials. I mean, I wish we can save some for the editorials and not share everything on Instagram. Like, that's something for the publications to do.
I think they try, but I think we live in an age, when I speak to my children who are in their 20s, they don't have the attention span we did. They just don't have time. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
I think the whole TikTok and social media evolution has definitely changed the landscape a lot. But at the same time, I think it can also be kind of a blessing for certain designers. But the ones that that have the whole 90s ethos of quality, high fashion, that's kind of out the window, I feel,
Yeah.
But I mean, it's also good to have something new. But my thoughts are that we're a little bit digressing. I really miss the 90s, to be honest.
Oh, goodness. I think we all do. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I really miss it. And it's funny because my daughter's obsessed with that decade and she buys a lot of vintage. And of course, she shops in my closet. And it's just so interesting to see the way they view it versus somebody that lived it.
It's so true. It's like my nephew, for example, appreciating music that's coming from the 80s or the 90s. I think there's the Generation Zs and Alphas, I think, are a lot more kind of appreciative of vintage music or even clothing. And where we are different, Dina, I feel, is my nephew would actually appreciate 90s music, 90s fashion, but he would still wear local. He would still promote local. And in our days, I don't feel like it was part of our ethos.
We didn't.
It was very much like brand obsessed, Yeah. So
no, it's not just that. It wasn't that it was brand obsessed necessarily. There was another reason. I remember, back when we ran the store, my best friend and I, DNA, we introduced a lot of local designers before the Cultural Revolution happened in Saudi Arabia, before the Ministry of Culture. And I remember a lot of people in the beginning assume that if you are a local designer, it means you make abayas. Meaning they don't take it seriously. I know it's a stereotype. Okay, so in their mind, what do you mean? Is it like a tailor thing? Do you go to the tailor? They didn't take it seriously, not because it was brand obsessed. And I remember that by mixing those local designers within our roster of international ones and not putting them in a corner, that's when people responded. They responded, "Oh, this is great. What is this?" So I think it's really about perception. So to be fair, haram, I don't think, I just think the association in our mind was not, we didn't take it as seriously. There are standouts, by the way. I don't know if you remember Adnan Akbar. That was maybe the first Saudi fashion designer that people took seriously, especially a generation preceding mine. Yahya al-Bishri, I don't know if you remember that man. Those are two names. I'm sorry, I know they're not maybe current names, but they're names that people were like, "Oh, okay, this is a designer."
They were doing ready to wear then, or haute couture?
Well, that's a good question, Hatem. I think they were not ready to wear so much. I think they were doing made to measure.
Yeah, a lot of it was made to measure. There was some ready to wear and some demi couture from Yahya. But of course, the haute couture started with Muhammad Ashi. That's when it started. Yeah. But I wanted to tap into also going back to collaboration. You had a DNA. I remember there's a story of you and Diane von Furstenberg creating a full-length dress and
Oh
then
yes, that
applying
was
it.
a funny story. I had to ask Christian Louboutin, who was a really good friend of hers, to convince her because for the opening of the store, I was inspired by a vintage dress my mother had from Diane from the 70s. She had two things. She had a jumpsuit and she had a long dress. And so I said, listen, Diane, would you be open to creating certain units for me? And she was like, well, it doesn't make any sense. It's very little. I have to make a lot more. And I said, no, trust me on this. If you make it, why don't you make some for me? And if that works, make some for yourself. And that's exactly what happened, because we sold out in the first week of the wrap dress, floor length. And she actually took that and ran, because she basically created in every variation you can think of, including embroidery. And it worked very well for her as well. And what's interesting is that wrap dress had a completely different connotation and meaning once it became floor length. It became even more elegant. So even if you're not a Saudi, even if that's not your lifestyle, it's a dress that works. You can just wear it, easily, and it takes you to different things. So that's a very funny story.
And it's fantastic how a local boutique that's homegrown has influenced international kind of, reception.
I think you're giving us too much credit. I don't think we influenced. I think we just said, hey, this works for our market.
Again,
and then it worked
Princess
for
Deena's
them.
being modest again. Yes.
No,
it's the truth.
I'm sure you inspired all of those designers to create these longer versions of dresses, and they just took it and ran, because honestly, look at now the fashion, look at all those long maxi dresses that they never thought it's for their market, but it turns out to be like the best thing that they've ever made. I don't think short dresses do as well as long dresses now.
And don't you, Rima, feel that all eyes are more kind of on the Middle East now? We kind of, the aesthetic, the concept, the culture is maybe being perceived much more positively internationally and adapted by international designers. Do you feel like your work is kind of being bought or appreciated from different markets more than before? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. There's been a big evolution, I think, with appreciation of Arab designers and just, people from the Middle East. The creation, the creativity. This year has been one of my most, alhamdulillah, successful years. Like the US market has really opened their eyes towards the Middle East, and it's beautiful to see us grow everywhere,
Absolutely. And the story, I think it's all about the story,
Yeah.
about people really tapping into a new story that not everyone is kind of hearing at the same time. And I think that the cool thing about us being able to articulate our culture, our style, the way we are, is that it defines us from other cultures. And we have our identity,
We are very unique in so many different ways, like not just our story or our culture, but just also like the vision of the brand, the little touches, the details. It's all a package, I think, and that is really something that's evolved over time for me, mostly. Yeah.
Tell us, Mrs. Dina, what is your the legacy that you want to you've already, mashallah, created an incredible movement and community, fan club, passionate people, and admirers of what you've done in your work and throughout your aesthetic and how you helped a lot of people. But what kind of legacy would you like to leave?
You know what? I will tell you, I think that legacy has already, I always joke and say that now I can die happy. Let me explain what I mean by that. I grew up not having a figure to show me or tell me that this is okay and that there is somebody reflecting you globally. There have been a few examples far in between. So you had Queen Noor of Jordan, who actually wore a lot of Palestinian. I don't know if you remember, Rima. Do you remember when she used to tour with her husband, with King Hussein, and she used to wear the Palestinian embroidered kaftans, and she did it so elegantly because, mashallah, she was a tall woman, half American, half Syrian. And then you had Princess Lalla Maryam of Morocco, who was really elegant. My God, whenever she'd show up on Sayyidati magazine, I used to save the picture because you didn't have as many women publicly, meaning being photographed or being seen. You had a bunch of elegant women, of course, where we lived, who we saw and got inspired by. But what I mean by what I just said is that if I could affect a young a woman or a young man in the smallest way possible, in a very silly way, obviously we're not saving lives here, then I am content. I am happy because
you never know. You may be,
no,
yeah.
but you know what I mean. What I mean is, it means that I've done something good in this world. If it could be a positive thing where whatever it is might have touched someone and made them feel that they can creatively go into something, especially in fashion, then I am so thrilled because we just didn't have as much representation publicly.
Absolutely. Yeah. I very inspiring.
Agreed.
Rima, what about you? What kind of legacy do you want to leave?
Oh, that's a tough one. I feel like I just want to be an example for, as a designer, an Arab designer that just moved away from the usual perspective of what a Middle Eastern designer should be doing, and just push the boundaries and experiment and take risks and collaborate and open up doors that haven't been opened yet. And I don't want to be also just a fashion designer. I want to be different designers. You just don't want to be in one medium. I want to open up the doors, like Dina said, and inspire young designers to go out of their usual paths and take routes that they never thought would be possible. So it's a long journey, but hopefully
And you will.
inspired.
You trust me, by doing what you're doing, that's enough.
Thank you.
Sky's the limit.
Of course.
Yeah. So Dina, you know this question that I usually ask, my signature questions. I haven't asked that questions in a while, so I hope you don't mind me asking it again.
Not at all.
So what is authenticity to you?
Say it again.
What is authenticity to you?
Oh, yes. Authenticity is being yourself. Really, I think just being your true self, because I think people, especially now, one of the benefits of the world we live in now is that people can tell the difference immediately.
Yeah.
People are savvier. Even on social media, they're smarter. You can't fool them. Being sincere in who you are is the most important thing. That's my take.
Absolutely. And what's next for your platform? What's happening?
Hopefully more activations, hopefully more presence, hopefully coming back. I love being, last time I was in Dubai, it was such a lovely feeling being with my own, being with young people that are the future. That's really what I would love to do next, being more involved regionally.
Yes, and we need more of you, Dina, please. And I had so much FOMO
Wallahi,
I
I'm
wasn't
here.
in Dubai. I had so much FOMO I couldn't make it to the last event that you had here, and
لا إن شاء الله other الجايات أكثر إن شاء الله, there'll be others.
we look forward to it. Rima, what about you? What's authenticity to you?
What's authenticity to me? Really just like Dina said, just being myself and not forcing any ideas or creations that I don't feel out to the world, just really just feeling what I'm putting out there. And that's why I've become a lot more mindful after COVID of like the amount of collections that I'm putting out there and like the things that I'm putting out there. It's just it really has to come from the heart, and I can't do like the very fast seasonal collections. I'm really embracing slow fashion now, so I'm embracing the collections that I'm creating and expanding on them. That's me being authentic. I think that's me being myself and letting it flow. Like that's the word.
So asking what's next for Rima would be more sustainable pieces.
I think I've been trying to do mindfully, like, creating mindfully and creating things that will last forever and not driven by trend.
And what's your definition of sustainable?
It's more in the intention of creating a piece. It's more like how you create it. How many pieces do you create? Do you know if these pieces are going to some? Like I want to create pieces that are not going to sit in stock for me. So I create very limited edition pieces. I customize pieces. It's not only about eco-friendly material or using dead stock. It's about creating with intention and designs that would last and be passed on to generation. Becoming vintage, hopefully.
And Dina, last question. What are your thoughts on sustainability?
Me? It's very funny. I have been sustainable without realizing it. So I have clothes for 30 years, 35 years, haven't thrown anything away, especially the jacket by Reemami. I still own it. And it's funny because even pieces from Zara, it's very interesting when people talk about fast fashion. So even if I buy something from Zara, I keep it. So I didn't realize that was being sustainable. Because back in the 90s, that word didn't exist. We didn't use it in fashion. I never heard anybody talk about sustainability back then. So I am being sustainable I think it's about buying pieces you're going to own and keep. And so in my case, that's sustainability.
Understanding and viewing the mileage and the pieces and buying pieces that have meaning. And will last in your closet. Definitely, I think that's that whole. Maybe COVID has taught us to be more mindful. I think of fashion and not really going back to sweatpants, because I see one more hoodie and sweatpants, I'll scream. But I think that maybe after that we've decided to think more on quality and think more on craft and buying that, spending a little bit extra to get that one piece. It could also be maybe Zara, but I also think that there's this movement of people spending a little bit more for quality. So
like buying mindfully things that would like really stand the test of time in your closet. It's beautiful to go back to older collections and pick them up and still feel like they're wearable till today. Like you said, Dina, I'm a big hoarder.
I always do. I actually shop from my own closet every season. Yeah. I go back and say, "Oh wow, this can work now," and so it's perfect. And I think because the generation preceding us, that's not what they did. My mother used to always clean up her closet and donate. You know what I mean? That was the way. People didn't know that she actually. It's a shame because there were some beautiful pieces that I wish she had kept. But back then that was the attitude. The attitude was نتبرع بها. We give it away for people, which is actually sustainable in its own way because they weren't throwing it out. They were giving it to people that were needier. But I think in my generation we discovered the beauty of vintage and keeping things. And because I have only one daughter, I wanted to keep everything for my daughter. So she's already stolen a lot of things from my closet.
I think you're one of those closets I'd love to raid, remembering all the photos.
Allah hayiki. We'd love to have you come and raid. We've got different eras.
Honestly, like maybe an archives that would be so inspiring for
yes,
like me.
Yes.
I think it could be as far as going at the V&A, Dina's closet, for sure. A lot of people will be very curious. But thank you so much, Rima and Princess Deena, for being a part of this conversation. I think we could go on forever when it comes to fashion, like really.
Of course. But thank you for bringing us together again. It's been a minute, Rima. It's so lovely to see you again.
It is so lovely to see you. And I hope to see you when you come to the UAE.
Inshallah.
Sharjah,
Inshallah.
Paris,
Definitely.
wherever. Stay in touch.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Princess Deena. Please send my best to the family, yeah?
Will do. Will do. Thank you so much, you guys, and have a wonderful night.
You too. Have a great day.
Too.
Thank you for waking up.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.